Hello, welcome to Dungeon Dwellers Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Today, unfortunately, is the finale for Halloween month 2021. I was going to do two more reviews after this, but, I've kind of feel I'm not really in the mood to review comics anymore for a while. I'm I'm doing something new. We're gonna be doing like video game reviews and anime reviews, right? And I still have to review some horror movies for before Halloween, right? So this is going to be our last comic book review, unfortunately. And that comic book we're reviewing is Blade Undead by Deadlight, uh, Undead by Daylight, sorry, which this came out in 2016 as a one shot. Uh, I got this book for free from my local comic book store, and it came already damaged. It has this really bad line in it, but it's a pretty cool book. It's $8 US, rated teen for teen, and this book collects the four comic books, some of which were the first appearance of Blade the Vampire Hunter, who looks a lot different in this book than he does in the films, right? He doesn't even have his silver katana in this book, but in the fourth story in this book, he looks a little bit more like Blade from the movies. He's wearing black, but he has like a silver like machete instead of a katana. But that's kind of close to the book, right? Also, since a lot of these comics are Tomb of Dracula comics, which this book collects Tomb of Dracula issue 10, 24, and 58, and Blade Crescent City Blues issue 1, right? And I think that was a one shot as well, which that has Hannibal King from the There's Blade in his first appearance, right? He has wooden knives instead of stakes, right? This story, Blade is in London hunting Dracula, and Dracula, right, is on like a tourist boat or whatever, yacht, sorry, and he he's trying to manipulate these group of yuppies, like wealthy people, princes, like heiresses, stuff like that. And at first, he pretends to be like a normal person. He pretends to be like a noble from Transylvania, and you think he's playing like a long game, right, with these people. But then he immediately turns heel and tries to brute force people into working for him, becoming slaves. And like one of the old men has a gun and tries to shoot him, which that doesn't work. So Blade shows up and fights Dracula. Dracula has he can turn into a bat and he can turn into mist, like in the comic book. I mean, in the original book, right? And the boat blows up, and you know, Blade saves everybody. So these books came out in the 70s, right? This one is Dracula is like has a thing for this showgirl, and she's friends with Blade's girlfriend Saffron, and they're living in London at this time, right? But you can't really tell by the. That's the problem with this book. You can't really tell people's accents in the dialogue, which usually nowadays you would have that. I guess they didn't have that in the 70s, right? And like Blade goes to help her. I thought this was the weakest story out of all four of them. Here, in this one, Blade thinks Dracula is dead, and you get a retelling of Blade's like origin story here, or it might have been the first time you get told his origin story. Which here he's not like half vampire in this origin story. He just has vampire blood coursing through his veins, right? So I guess he's part vampire, but nobody calls him the Daywalker. They just call him the Hunter, which that kind of sucks. Also, you get introduced to, like, you know, other vampire, like, hunter characters, like this old guy who's Quincy Harker, who makes, like, gadgets and stuff, right? And what's going on in this book is basically one of Blade's old friends, his girlfriend or wife, gets possessed by a vampire, and both him and Blade have to go out and kill the vampire, right? And turns out to be Dracula, and they or not Dracula. It was like a minion of Dracula, right? So the last story is Crescent City Blues. This is the story where this is more modern. I think this came out in the 90s. This is written by Christopher Golden. Oh, these other three Blade comics, or Tomb of Dracula comics with Blade, was written by Marv Wolfman from Teen Titans, right? New Titans or whatever. The guy who wrote Infinite Crisis. Right. So this one, Blade is like basically depressed, lonely. He's not with his girlfriend Saffron anymore. A lot of his friends are dead, right? And he hears about how vampires are taking over like mafia groups, right? And like New Orleans. So Blade goes to look into it, especially since he hears Deacon Frost is the one responsible, and Deacon Frost was the guy that killed his mom and turned him into part vampire, right? So he goes looking for him, finds Hannibal King, finds his girlfriend Saffron, who's working for this heiress whose corporation is getting like hostile takeover from Deacon Frost. This chick hired Hannibal King, which that's Hannibal King right here. He was a vampire here, right? But he's like a good vampire. And yeah. Also, Brother Voodoo, the Voodoo superhero is in the book as well, and Blade goes to him for help, but he's busy like fighting this villain called the Voodoo Queen, right? Who also has voodoo powers, right? My problem with this book is they like hype up this chick that she's super powerful, and that even Doctor Strange is afraid of her. And in one page, first Jericho loses to her, and then in one page he beats her by just telling the same gods that he worships, hey, that girl doesn't really like you guys, she just uses you. And they turn on her, right? In one page. There's a cool scene here where you get to see the mafia fight vampires, right? Because they're in a mafia war, right? And also, you have Deacon Frost again, right? Yeah, I don't want to spoil the whole story. So, overall, I thought this book was good. The art was decent. It's 70s art. The dialogue and the stories were a bit generic for me. Though I thought Blade was a cool character. You can definitely tell that this Blade inspired the Blades from the movies, right? Because they pretty much come off like the same character, right? He's not as... Blade here is not as cool and as well armed as he is in the comic book. Sorry, in the movies. Sorry, I misspoke. And there was problems with the art here and there. There's one frame, where they drew Blade's face, and they didn't draw any ears on him, right? And there's also a thing where Marie and Jericho are talking, and their word bubbles their dialogue is combined in one word bubble, which made it fucking confusing for half a second. It's what the fuck, man? But overall, I enjoyed this book, and I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think this book, if you can get it for a decent price, it's worth it, because it's 4 comic books in one book, right? So it's pretty much like a small trade, and like trades nowadays, even 4-issue trades now go almost for like $20. So if you can get this for like, I would say $10 or less, it's worth it, right? Yeah, so that's it for this review, guys. I'm gonna try to review Ginger Snaps, Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, 31, the Rob Zombie film, and El Super Beastu, and the Haunted World by Halloween. Alright, so make sure to look out for those videos, guys. Peace. And we're going to take a break from comic reviews for at least a month. Right? Yeah. That's... And, like, you know, if you're new to the channel and you're like, man, you're going to stop comic reviews, I have, like, at least 100 videos of me reviewing comics. You can check out my playlist. I have them separated by publisher, except for like non-DC or Marvel. Then I have all those, like all the indies, I have them all in one playlist. So if you're not a fan of DC or Marvel, check out that playlist. Alright, guys.